Hello, everybody. I'm going to talk about the sort of rumors that are kind of going around that Russell Wilson has worked out recently for the New York Jets. Um, Fascinating, if I should say so myself. Very fascinating. Um, Due to reports, Geno Smith suggested that the Jets give Russell Wilson a look. So there's that. Rich Samini and Connor Hughes says nothing is imminent, but both sides seem to have mutual interest, which kind of indicates that maybe something is coming. Um, but um, I kind of think there are better options at the backup position than Russell Wilson. Look, I know Russell Wilson. Um, his skill set wise. I think it's acceptable for right now, but he's not as good as what he was back in 2013 or back in 2014. He's not the same guy as he was. He's clearly shot as a player. He's not as fast as he used to be. Um, he's slowly, you know, stared down reads and like his processing kind of gotten slower throughout the years. It's just like to me, like it feels like he's done. Like he's cooked. That's sort of that's what these past few years have sort of taught us. Especially last year with the Giants. Yeah, he threw 4 touchdowns against the Cowboys, but it was the Cowboys. Justin Fields had a statistically good game against the Cowboys. So it it's not I would not put too much on that performance, but after that performance, you know, he struggled against Kansas City. I mean, he looked very, very bad, um, to the point where he couldn't even start another game that season. So, I mean, he was completely done. I mean, look, some people would say Russell Wilson is an admirable backup, but I think, look, he's a nice guy and all, very, very nice guy. But the problem with him, for me, is that he's too much of a distraction. Um, and let me tell you something. Look, there are teams that can afford distractions. Teams that have small markets and stuff like that. They can afford distractions. Not the Jets. The Jets cannot afford distractions like the Danger Witch or stretching on airplanes. Like they can't afford stuff like that. And look, Russ is a nice guy. It's nothing against him. It's just it, the media circus around it would just be too much for this coaching staff to sort of overcome. So I think personally it would benefit the Jets if they go a different direction at the backup quarterback position. Maybe go back with Tyrod and maybe go with Cooper Rush. Or, I mean, this might be a controversial take, but, you know, maybe just put Cade Klubnik at QB2. I don't know. Like, you traded up to the fourth round pick. You traded up in the fourth round to get him. You wasted 2 fourth round picks to get him. I mean, he must be worth something, worth a look. So, yeah, um, I'd rather go with those options rather than signing Russell Wilson. Even though Russ would be a better backup, the distractions would be way too much for this coaching staff to bear. It just would. Especially if he's on the bench. I mean, there'd be people talking. If Geno's struggling, people would be saying, like, oh, put Russ in. And then Russ comes in and he stinks. And then just like, you're at a very bad sort of impasse. I mean, at that point, I mean, you're at that bad impasse anyway. But it's just like it's a bad option for the distraction element. You do not want that. And Russell Wilson, is a distraction, whether it's his fault or the media's fault or it's him just being a little bit of a cornball. I mean, honestly, I don't mind it, but then again, like the media would freaking run all over it. I mean, if he says something cringy in the media, oh my God, like fans in the media, they're gonna be like, oh God, Russell Wilson said this, you know, cringe thing. It just, honestly, I don't think I can handle that as a fan. I don't think the team can handle it either. So, look, if they want to dive deep in this backup quarterback sort of charade, just look at Tyrod again. Maybe re-sign Tyrod. Maybe bring back, maybe bring in Cooper Rush. I don't know. Um, if they really are desperate, um, maybe they can trade for a guy. I don't know. Maybe they can trade for a younger player. I don't know. And I heard a lot of people say like, "Oh, let's use a potential supplemental draft pick bid on Brandon Sorsby." No, I'm not doing that. The guy has a gambling addiction, and he's working through his demons. Honestly, I don't want to risk that. You know, let a team like you know San Francisco take that swing, or let a team that has a starter, a legit starter in place, uh, take take that swing. I don't want to sort of delve deep in that. And honestly, I've always thought Sorsby to be like a second round pick next year, so I don't think it's worth that much. Honestly, I didn't really get the hype when he was at Cincinnati. I got why people were excited about him, transferring to Texas Tech, but I didn't see him rising into the first round for 2027 as much as people were saying. But I don't think the Jets should take the bid on Brendan Sorsby either. Um, but as of right now, the quarterback situation is Geno Smith, Cade Klubnik, Bailey Zappi, and Brady Cook. Now, if it was just Geno Smith, Bailey Zappi, and Brady Cook, I would have somewhat of an issue. But you now add Cade Klubnik in the draft, who has some potential, um, some potential to his game. He's he's been productive at the college level. Don't get me wrong. Like he had a bad year in 2025, but he was productive in 2024. He was able to, you know, be very, very good to the point where Tom McShay had him as the number one overall pick in way too early mock drafts in this year. So, I mean, something went wrong in Clemson, but then again, I can make that case for mostly every player that there. I remember during way too early mock drafts in 2026, everyone was talking about all these Clemson players like TJ Parker and um, Peter Woods, of course, Kate Klubnik, and Antonio Williams. All of these guys were being mocked to go to the first and second round. They're going like day one, day two. You know, they all fell off. Most of that team fell off because of how bad that season was. Is that more on the players or is it more on the coaching of that football team? I kind of point towards the coaching because everyone just declined. Everyone on that team sort of fell off a cliff. So honestly, I put it more on the Clemson coaching on why guys fell the way they did, specifically in that on that team. And crazy fact, you know, Clemson had 9 players drafted. 9 players. That's not that bad. I mean, if anything, that matches them with all the teams that kind of made the playoffs. Actually, fun fact, Indiana had 8 players drafted. So the national championship winners had less players drafted than Clemson. Now, is that, you know, a reflection of the talent that Clemson had that they just couldn't put it together? And, that's basically on the coaching, or did Indiana overperform with the talent that they had? I don't know, but what every scout is basically saying that, Clemson had talent, they couldn't win. So honestly, I would give Cade Klubnik a little bit of a swing um this preseason to see if he has an opportunity to be, a possible quarterback two option, honestly. But Russ being an option, I mean, he is an option, but I don't, I mean, I like the player, I like the person himself, but the problem with him is the media circus that surrounds him and all the distractions that come with, all these little things that he says. You know, when he starts going to the Jets and he starts saying these slogans like "Jet Up" or "Jet Nation, Let's Fly" or something like that, like stupid slogans that are just like that make you cringe. Is like, like I don't want to deal with that. Like I don't think players want to deal with that, and I don't think fans want to deal with that type of cringe to the point where did the Daily News is making fun of it. First Take is making fun of it. Like you do not want that type of distraction. You do not want that type of attention to your football team. If you're trying to rebuild, if you're trying to establish a culture, you do not want that negative attention. And also, it doesn't make overall sense in the standpoint of Darren Muji. Darren Muji was one of those people back at Denver that were telling, you know, people in the Denver front office that it's not a good idea to trade for Russell Wilson. It's not a good idea to do that. It's not a good idea. And they did it. Now, at the time, I guarantee you most of the Broncos front office, and I guarantee you most of the NFL would have laughed Darren Muji out of the room. But it proved to be massively correct on the matter. And it completely made the Broncos a mess for 2 seasons. A complete mess. They had Nathaniel Hackett as head coach. I mean, they had Sean Payton there for a season. He didn't like Russell Wilson at all, to the point where they had to kick him to the curb for Knicks. So, look, I like Russell Wilson as a person. He was a great player, but he's just not the same player as he was. And whatever he says on the team becomes a massive distraction. And having him on the bench would be very, I don't want to say problematic, but I would say it would be very risky when it comes to the idea of trying to build the culture. And that's the major thing with this Jets team this season. It's about building a winning culture. And if there's negative press around this culture, guess what? It's not going to be a winning one. So y- you don't want negative press. You don't want negative attention. You don't want that. So I mean, the Jets already have negative attention right now, but you don't want to make it worse than it already is. So Um, yeah, that's my thoughts on the matter of Russell Wilson. Will he sign in the coming days? I don't know. Um, but there is mutual interest there, so it's something to keep an eye on. So yeah. Um, I'll see y'all later, and yeah, thank you for listening. Be sure to leave a like, comment, comment if you disagree with me. Um, subscribe if you want to. Leave a like, hit the bell notification on the side, and I'll see you later. Go Jets.